Windows 10 is officially dead. Or at least that is what some people might make you believe. The fact is, Windows 10 is still pretty usable after October 14th, 2025, with some major caveats. So if you're watching this, then there's a good chance that Microsoft has warned you about this through a subtle notification, full screen pop-ups, several alarming emails, several ads on stores, or you may have just completely missed the memo and just found out about this. But don't you fret, because I'm going to go over everything about why Microsoft has ended service for Windows 10 and what options you have going forward. Okay, so the first thing we need to note about why Microsoft is doing this is that they made this statement. And as technology evolves, phasing out older operating systems and upgrading to newer versions is a natural part of the life cycle, one that helps you ensure that you have latest security features and innovations. And they're not necessarily wrong about that. You see, with this quote, Microsoft is pointing out two different types of terms: the software development lifecycle and software evolution. Now, the software development lifecycle, for those who don't know, is really just any model that developers use to follow a timeline of each stage of software development. And there's all kinds of models available to illustrate this process, like the waterfall and the spiral. But the gist is that each model will have some kind of first stage, which allocates the software requirements, then the planning, then testing and writing, deployment, and maintenance. And these later phases of deployment and maintenance seems to be what Microsoft is employing when it comes to lifecycle. Now, software evolution, or simply explained, is basically where companies like Microsoft take in user feedback and the new innovations of hardware and software to adapt their Windows operating system for a newer age. And this is one of the key reasons why Windows has stayed relevant to computing over the last 30 or so years, is because of their ability to adapt to evolving trends. And you can tell just by looking back at some of the older versions of Windows how Microsoft tailored the design of Windows to be. Windows 95 was made to make computers more accessible to consumers. And then Windows XP made the experience more user-friendly. Windows Vista was really just a power trip to see how far they can go given the new evolution of computing. Windows 7 was made to fix the mistakes that they made in Windows Vista. Windows 8 was made to invoke a more touch-friendly experience given the rise of touchscreens. And Windows 8.1 was made to fix some of the problems with Windows 8. Even Windows 10, which was released way back in July 2015, looks way different than it did today because of the changes of user feedback and the new innovations of technology. And this also explains why Windows 11 looks exactly what it does. And it's also why AI is baked into pretty much everywhere in the operating system.
Now, software evolution not only helps keep Windows relevant, but it also alleviates the rise of another potential problem called the legacy crisis, which is a term coined by Secord, Plakash, and Lewis. And the legacy crisis is basically a phenomenon where if companies do not drop support for older systems, there will come a time where all resources will be allocated to supporting older systems rather than creating newer and innovative ones. And part of the reason why there's so many systems that need to be maintained is because of the rapid amount of software development. But this can kind of indirectly explain why the system requirements for Windows 11 is so fucking high.
With all that being said, there are three options that you can choose from on how you can go forward with your Windows PC. The first option is to stay on Windows 10. Now, as of recording this video, Microsoft is providing extended security updates, or ESU, to businesses and consumers. This isn't the first time Microsoft has offered the ESU program to businesses on earlier versions of Windows, but it will be the first time where consumers like you and I can enroll in the ESU program. And you can get an extra year of security updates if you enroll your PC to the consumer program. To enroll your PC for ESU, navigate to your settings and click on Updates and Security. You should then see a notification that your PC is eligible to enroll in ESU. Click on the Enroll Now button and then click on Next. It may ask you to sign into your Microsoft account, and if so, enter your email for your Microsoft account. From there, you can choose on how to get the updates, whether by backing up your settings to the cloud, using 1,000 Microsoft rewards points, or paying $30 US. If you have previously backed up your PC settings to the cloud, which I did with my Microsoft account, then Microsoft will automatically choose the first option for you. In any case, click Enroll, and you should see this screen if your enrollment is successful. Once you've enrolled your PC to ESU, you can then use your Microsoft account to enroll more PCs for receiving ESU by signing into your other computers with your Microsoft account, and then clicking on Add Device. This option is good if you need more time to figure out what's next for you, or if you still want to stay on Windows 10 for an extra year. Most of the apps that you use should still work on Windows 10, but bear in mind that support for these apps may not be guaranteed after at most 2028, so consider this option as a temporary solution. The second option is what Microsoft recommends you to do, and it's moving to Windows 11. Now, I won't shy away from the fact that I have a pretty negative bias towards the state of Windows 11 ever since I started using it in 2023. However, I will give props that Windows 11 has several quality of life features that makes the experience, in some ways, better than Windows 10. Plus, interacting with Windows 11 on a touchscreen is significantly better on Windows 11, and almost rivaling the touchscreen capabilities of Windows 8. If your PC is deemed capable of running Windows 11, you have the choice to move your computer to Windows 11. If not, you could still get your PC to run Windows 11 unsupported, and there are videos on YouTube that show you how to do it. Just remember that you may not receive support from Microsoft if you choose to run Windows 11 unsupported. If at some point you need to buy a new PC, you should make sure that the next computer you buy is not only affordable, but runs fast and lasts you several years. But whatever you do not get an AI PC. Not only are they expensive, but they have garnered a reputation among consumers and tech enthusiasts about certain components not performing as advertised, and how Microsoft has been pushing unadulterated spyware onto their Copilot Plus PCs. But what if you're just sick and tired of Windows? Well, your last option is to find your next home on a different operating system. In this case, you have a choice between Mac OS or Linux. If you tend to use Apple products a lot, then Mac OS may be the way to go. On the contrary, if your workflow is very integrated with Google services, Chrome OS is also an option. But if using operating systems backed by big tech isn't for you anymore, then Linux is really your best and only option. Now, it may be hard for most individuals to start using Linux if you've been using Windows for most of your life, and it's because there is a large variety of open source distributions available to use on your PC. So if you're unsure where to start out, I would recommend dual booting Linux on your Windows 10 PC so you can get the best from both worlds. I recently published a guide on how you can get started with Linux through dual booting, and you should check that video out if you're interested in learning more about dual booting your PC. So in conclusion, while Microsoft has dropped mainstream support for Windows 10, the operating system is still usable for consumers. But because of the lack of free technical support, you'll be putting your PC at greater risk of being hacked unless it's enrolled to receive extended security updates. And while apps are still supported on Windows 10, it won't be long before developers eventually start dropping support for Windows 10. With all that being said, I hope all this information was helpful for you, and I'll end the video with some outtakes. But it will be the first time where consumers like you and I, I'm pointing you and I, like, oh my god, bro. Oh wait, oh god, reading from a script is insane. Oh, I did it all in one take. That's probably like 5 minutes. What happened to my damn cursor? 8 minutes, holy moly.